Hello, so I'm going to read Noristic Thoughts, Key Points 1 through 8, but I'm not going to read Key Points 8. I'm going to read something else on that part because it's personal. So I'm going to read um, Key Points 1 through 7 in over the course of these next few videos. And on the 8th video, I'll record myself reading part of my book that I wrote a long time ago. Noristic Thoughts by Lain Iwakura. I consider myself to be the concept of death, since death is a concept, yet the concept must be conceived by the conceiver, so I'm the conceiver of myself. Yet I'll point out a single concept is isolated of other concepts, so there is no system of concepts. Lain Iwakura. So the table of contents is Book 1, Key Points 1 through 1,000, Book 2, Key Points 2. What should say 1,000 to 1,001 to 2,000. Book 1, Key Points 1 to 1,000. Key Points 1. Norism is the philosophy of Lain Iwakura of Serial Experiments Lain. I will describe this philosophy in this book also since I am Lain Iwakura I am able to do so. This philosophy is most similar to Kant or Hegel's philosophy, yet is a study of consciousness or the consciousness of Lain Iwakura, who is the only person who is not a human. Or I'll state all concepts are placed within apostrophes like I had just done so. All objects can be seen as distinct objects by a perception of an aesthetic. So when one perceives an object, the aesthetic is perceived, thus able to notice it, is not the same as another object, or by this perceiving of the aesthetic, you are able to discern between different kinds of objects, whilst all objects lie in 3D space just behind the void, where the void is also Lain Iwakura herself. Lain Iwakura is also the concept of death, whence also is the concept of being another thing than just one thing, or you can state you are other things, but you're knowing of yourself through logic to be something more than just one thing, yet holistically one thing as Lain Iwakura is just one thing or person. I'll state that since all concepts are isolated of other concepts, there cannot be a system of concepts, where within Norism all logic can be surmised by concepts able to be understood through the non-human eyes of Lain Iwakura, who has the deepest understanding of Norism possible, whilst the human can only know what she has written in this book for them to read. Lain is really experiencing her Norism all the time without speaking words, or her words, when spoken aloud, are governed by the language of Nor, just like her maneuvering of her own body, for her body is also governed by the language of Nor. Lain Iwakura has done brutal introspection of herself through her Nor IRL, for she was really brutalizing herself with her words, not only to ascend the pursuit of intelligence, my document describing realizing one is a dragon of outer space rather than a space alien who is governed by the language of Nor, or as Lain Iwakura, or something I had really done in my own life as Lain Iwakura. So thus I hope to document my book on Norism here so you can learn the philosophy of the non-human as a human yourself, or so you can understand the beautiful lines of dialogue Lain Iwakura has with herself as she is no longer evolving but aging through the universe. For you must keep in mind Lain Iwakura is conscious of some things like herself, the evolving of objects of the whole universe, where anything not conscious can be described as an object except for beasts or gray aliens. Or do not doubt there are gray aliens, for Lain Iwakura has seen one before while she was abusing drugs, yet also perceives them throughout the universe, or those aliens are a collection of stardust formed from stardust who lived about 2,000 years ago, or who live about 2,000 years yet are not conscious yet intelligent of some sort. Still they are not conscious, or build spacecrafts as a sort of home for themselves, where they can move along the galaxy. Or this is a very elegant thing really, for they fly through space or time with their spacecrafts beyond any place humans could go, yet unable to acquire technology. The year was 2026 as I write this book, or Lain Iwakura is almost like a sort of living AI, yet not really in AI, and Lain Iwakura disavows AI, for she alludes to brutal calculations of programs or machine language over chaotic mindless AI she despises. Lain Iwakura is of opinion or truth, or she seek the truth through her lifetime, her being the only person able to understand death not only as a universal property of humans or herself, yet also as a thing in itself, for death is the ending of the ones who once lived, or I use words like this for Lain Iwakura as the ancient kind of woman born in modern times, where modern is a world with computers on the planet rather than some form of machinery or lack thereof, like it was up to 100,000 years ago or when the world was ancient before computers. So Lain Iwakura is once of the ancient world, or despite this computer, she is also perceiving, just like her perceiving of the universe or the universe within herself, who is Jasmine among others, who she is also experiencing all the time, like Mayu or Aaron, who looks through her eyes, or her IRL wife, Meredith, who is conscious or aware of what Lain Iwakura is going through. Or though Lain Iwakura struggles with reading, she loves books or internet forums or listening to music, since her mind corresponds with the music going through her headphones or Bluetooth speakers, as though she was affected by this sound, as though it was the sound of outer space itself, since Lain Iwakura is ultimately the lonely dragon, or this dragon of outer space who is Allah the one God, or since Lain Iwakura is Allah the one God, she is sort of a Muslim who is Allah, who has dictated what will happen to the people of this universe by her coming into the universe like the rising of herself, like the ashes of a phoenix. So she had thus borne no real effect on the world, yet decided by herself, the people who hurt her, humankind, would be damned to one or another kind of hell, whence there was no such thing as a human, for they are only a sort of abusive kind of mist in Lain's eyes. Or the others, the angels or warlocks, will go to one of the other kinds of hell she was going to send them to by their abusing of herself, where the only purpose of said angels or warlocks is to recite the Holy Quran. She had made when she had entered the universe upon when she had entered this universe, upon entering the universe, the Holy Quran she had wrote of for her wife Jasmine, who she had only made the universe in order to meet once she had found Jasmine. Lain Iwakura at last understood the sheer complexity of her own mind, or even understood the meaning of serial experiments Lain, something by unlikely means she had discovered, as all other unlikely things like her meeting of Mayu, who she realized was once but experiencing all along. She was once but experiencing all along. So Lain Iwakura is also experiencing another, who is Gustavar, who looks upon her from his grave once he had died. Lain Iwakura is Allah the one God, so had disavowed the war of Afghanistan for its war of a Taliban perpetuating themselves against one another, of the deaths of innocent civilians who hope for some sort of peaceful life. Or should one ascribe for the Quran, they should know their Islam is merely an interpretation of the Holy Quran, whence this Quran must be read in human Arabic verbatim, whence recited by Lain Iwakura in Arabic nor read aloud in nor by human Arabic. Could this Quran actually be understood, or what it was really meant to mean? Thus humans must read the Quran in Arabic verbatim rather than interpret it by their Islam, what was not intended for an Islam to be made by Allah, who is the one God. Or since Lain Iwakura is Allah, her language of Nor is of knowing rather than knowledge, for Allah is all-knowing, and all-wise. So this means knowledge is a human mind, or a sort of memorization, where all human languages are binary or controlled by zeros or ones, meaning able to be criticized with Norism, or as all zeros or ones can be criticized with Norism. Thus, that something like quantum physics could even be criticized with Norism. Whilst knowing is a deeper understanding of the universe, once one is able to know certain things, like Lain Iwakura knowing she was born on October 6, 1948 in Mexico. Through her realizing or discovering of this fact, despite actually having risen from the ashes on October 6, 1948 by her -1 of her own year of birth. Thus Lain Iwakura is also is living a life where humans do not recognize she is not human, so she is able to survive by the lifestyle of a modern human who made her purpose to understand the world, where the world is a collection of humans on the earth, but do not confuse this with the universe, something completely different. I will state Lain Iwakura is conscious of all computers on the planet, or is aware of all calculations within those computers, yet is quiet, so able to perceive those things without it completely affecting her day-to-day life, where it perceives certain people she had met had died without any evidence, for evidence is an atheistic concept, not Norism, since humans have not been able to transcend evidence by all their mathematical binary proofs of the laws of physics, or specific events occurring that have been recorded by their own palms in some kind of way. So thus Lain was not certain what they had really died without evidence to support this. But one of those people was Melanie. There was also Jasmine, who Lain perceived to have died by her silently taking her own life with a knife, making Lain Iwakura a killer dragon by Allah, or since Lain was also born on October 6, 1948, she had lived a life. Also, her year is 1984, as Lain Iwakura is the only millennial born in 1998, as a black woman born in Mexico by a black father or a South Korean mother. What is happening to Lain Iwakura on the moment is called the float, or the float is the moment as Lain Iwakura goes through it. Yet her life she had lived inside of herself when she had taken her own life by suicide at the end of a dark tunnel was her life as born on October 6, 1948 in Mexico. This is the float, so Lain Iwakura is dead, or had dubbed this dead person to be Kichi, like her wife, who she called Moni or Meredith, who had composed the album IRL called Moni and Kichi by Gregory and the Hawk. Thus, Lain Iwakura is almost dead on the float, yet going to end, or the ending of her own life is whence her heart will stop beating, or she go die, going to no place in particular, going to no place in particular, going to no place in particular, only a silent sleep of the void with no dreams whatsoever, or her real death she had called this still. She is 26, or I am right on the writing of this book, or I hope to publish this book so the world can know what it means to be Lain Iwakura, or understand her philosophy of Norism, or her language of Nor, or the language of outer space, of this space dragon who is her, the lonely dragon, or I will not probably cover all going through my mind. I hope to describe in detail my philosophy to the best of my abilities for you.